In this tutorial today, we're going to make a character move in 2D space in Godot using WASD. So what we're going to do first is switch back to the 2D mode because we're working in 2D space. We'll just make the world, so call it scene. You can hit F2 to rename. So go world. I'm going to save this one as that. There we go. We can also go on this one and we can set this as the main scene. So right click, set as main scene. That'll make it so that when we hit play, like so, we can see it plays the world. I mean, there's nothing here right now, but we know that it's now playing this main scene. Fantastic. Okay, now first thing to set up our movement is going to set up input. So let's go to project settings, and go to the input map tab. From here, let's go put in our input. So up, down, left, right. Now what these do, these create input actions that we can assign keys to. Instead of hard coding WASD or whatever else it is, we can assign different events to these. So W for up, down we can go S, left we can go A, and right we can go D. You could do, arrow keys as well. May as well do that while we're here. So up is up key, arrow, down, down, etc., etc. Let's just finish that off. So instead of having to hard code each of these values, what we can do is call these actions that we've just named, up, down, left, right, in the code which we're about to do. Before we do that though, we have to make a new scene. So go up the top here in the scene, new scene. Now we're going to go other node for our root node. And call character body 2D. That's what we want. Double click. Now we see when we set this up the first time, there's going to be a warning. So we need to add a collision shape. So let's hit Control A to add. Collision shape's already there, so let's click that one. Another warning here saying we need a shape for that. So let's click on that. On the right side, let's set a rectangle for now. Just so we can see while we're debugging, we'll also add a sprite. So let's go sprite 2D, fantastic. And let's just drag on this default icon into the texture slot there. Fantastic. I like to have the collision shape in front so we can see what that is. If I just hold Alt, what we got now is a nice square covering that. Fantastic. Let's hit S. Let's call this player. So we've saved that for Control S. Now from here, with the character body 2D, we can right click and go attach script, or we can hit this button up here, which is attach new script. So let's do that. Fantastic. So from here we see we've already extended the character body 2D. This is the default logic in the engine preset character body 2D class. So we're extending that, so we're going to inherit some of that logic, and we're also going to add some of our own in this script. So first thing we're going to want to do is make a variable. Let's call this speed. And let's set this as a float, and that can equal 400. I might also want to edit this in the editor later, so let's go at export. So now if we hit save, we can see if we click on character body 2D, there's a new property here we can adjust, which is speed. Next up, we're going to want to add a function. Let's call this getInput. We're going to need to add semicolon, and let's indent this one. So go variable, input direction. Now this is going to be a variable we use in the function, and it's going to be an input that we get the vector from. And let's just add in all our values. Here we go. Trying to use autocomplete where I can to speed up the process. Fantastic. So now we have a variable for our input direction. So now let's set our velocity to be equal to that input direction multiplied by our speed. Fantastic. So now we have a function that we've made, but it's never been called. We're never actually using this code. So let's make another function here. We're actually going to override an inbuilt function called physicsProcess. Now this is called every tick of the game. So let's get our input function, call that, and we'll also move and slide our character. So this will apply the velocity to the character body 2D when we call this. If you're ever not sure what a function does, just click on it, hover over it, and it'll let you know there. Now, let's give this code a test, see how it goes. Now you'll see, we don't have a character there. So what we're going to have to do, is we're going to have to go here. We see our player is there, but it's not in our world scene, which is our root scene that we started with. So let's drag the player in. So get the scene, not the script, get the scene, drag it in. Now we see in our worlds we have a character body 2D, which is our player. Now if we hit play, we can see we can move. Fantastic. It's not very smooth though. I would like to make this a little bit smoother and a little bit more complicated, so a bit more polished. So what we're going to do is go back to our script. We're going to add a couple more variables. So we're going to go adding in, let's go acceleration. And let's call this 1000. And also we're going to add another variable, friction. And let's make that something big as well. I'm going to update our max speed as well, just to make it a bit nicer there. So now we've got these new variables. So we're going to want to accelerate to this speed and also apply friction when we're not moving. So we can do this by changing our code that we have here. What we're going to have to do is pass in delta into this function. So let's quickly do that by making a parameter for this function and assigning it as a float. And now there's an error because we haven't got enough argument calls in here. So let's add in delta. So we're passing delta from physics process into get input. Excellent. Alrighty. So from here we have delta. So we've still got our input direction. That's fantastic. We want to check if this input direction, if it is equal to 0. So it's a vector 2. So we're going to check if it's equal to vector 2, 0. Fantastic. And if it is, what we're going to do is make our velocity equal to our velocity as it's moving towards, let's call it 0 again, because we're trying to slow down. It's going to go at the rate of our friction multiplied by delta. And we'll return, because that'll be the end of our logic there. Now, if our input direction is not 0, we still want to move. So we can still do this, but it won't be very smooth as it is right now. So we're going to make a new variable, call it our target speed that we want to get to. And this is going to be equal to our input direction. Let's make this normalized and multiply it by our speed. So this is our desired speed. Now, similar to what we did up here, we're going to copy this code actually. So now we're going to move toward our target speed, and it's going to be by our acceleration. Fantastic. Let's hit Control S for save. Now from here, we've just slightly adjusted it, so now we're accelerating and decelerating to make it a bit more of a smoother experience. If we hit play, we can see here, I'd like to tweak the values a bit because it's a bit like I'm skating on ice. And again, if you want to tweak this, you can go into the actual world itself and just change it per instance. So you can go here. So I've got two different characters. Say one can have a movement speed of 300 and it accelerates a little bit slower, and it also decelerates a little bit slower. But you can see how each instance are unique. So if we hit play, we can see that they move at different speeds based on what we just set. And I actually think I prefer the second one I just added. It's a bit nicer feel. The other one's still a bit floaty. Excellent. So that's how you set up 2D movement in Godot with your first character movement. If you found this tutorial useful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. There'll be more Godot tips and tricks coming your way. Thanks very much, guys. Take care.